Hello there, outliers. Niiamah Xiang here, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey. When I say it with this voice here, it doesn't sound like I'm being authentic, but I am. I really am grateful that you're letting us be a part of your journey here. I like to start off our conversations like this because it helps. Like I feel like I'm in the presence of three powerful outliers, and there's some part of me that just says like if I can create a little bit more space for myself to get it wrong, then I don't have to worry about like carrying how to do this perfectly throughout the conversation. So thank you all for playing Outliers. I'm so excited for you to get to know these outliers. These outliers are here because they keep finding ways to uplift and up level their impact, their income, and their integrity in order to create more and to like help lift us up as a society, as a world, into where we can go to next. I have no problem, and it is with great pride that I get a chance to introduce you to the outliers that are here today. We're going to start off with Adeola. Adeola, if you don't mind, would you let us know more about you and the game you are currently playing?
Okay, as far as my game, are you talking about just what keeps me motivated or business wise?
Yeah, to give us business wise, like let us get to know you, right? And essentially I'm saying like how are you showing up as an outlier right now? And let us get a chance to see a bit into your world.
Um, okay, okay.
There's no wrong way to answer this, by the way.
I'm
There's
like,
no
oh,
right way
making sure.
either. There's no right way either.
I hate going first. Okay,
Okay.
well, so how I play my game, far as business and my mindset, I guess goal setting. Let me know if you can hear me because my the fan on my computer is on.
You are
Can you hear me?
everything is coming in wonderfully. I'm really glad that you're going first. Can I just say that? Because I heard you say you hate going first. You're probably gonna go first a bit here, Adeola. Like it's just how like the thing is. Like, sorry, in my space, like this is it. This is how we play. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I also really I want to say thank you for that because how do I say it? Every time I bring people together, it's a playground. It's a model of things, right? And it's like we can come in here and say like, "Hey, everyone, let's all go out there and be uncomfortable as you're stepping up into your next level. Go be on your edge, and then we play as safe as possible." And instead, like we're getting the chance right now to make this real because that's how people are, right? Right now, they're like, "I want to do something. I have my voice. I have a lot to say, but." And then they let themselves get stuck behind it. And what I see about you, Adiola, is that you're not letting yourself get stuck behind it. And I really like, I acknowledge you for that. And I'm going to come to you, not, like, it's just naturally that since I came to you first, I'm going to keep coming to you first for a little bit. But it's not because I'm picking on you. I promise. It's not
Oh, no.
that.
It's all good.
All right, cool. So like there's no wrong way to answer this one here. And
Yes.
there's no right way either. So just tell us a little bit more about you and the game you're playing.
Yes. So just how I play, I would say, is just through goals and just the curiosity to want to learn how to do more. Within my business, Shine Through, I do crochet, and that takes work and effort. And it's a challenge. Like, let me see if I can make four more of these. And your time gets tested. And, you got to meet certain deadlines for certain clients and certain videos that you want to make. And so, how I play my game is through the goals that I set and the time constraints that I put on top of those goals. So that's a little bit. Hope I answered that right.
uh, Thank you so much, Adiela, for bringing yourself into this conversation. I cannot wait to play. I got like really intrigued. I was like, "Ooh, crochet! How are we bringing this in here? You got crochet, you got videos. Like, I think we're gonna play. We're gonna have a good time." Delon, let's get a chance to get to know you. Tell us more about you and the game you're playing.
Thank you, man. First off, I appreciate you for having me as a guest on the show. Haven't had an opportunity to check out your podcast. You're doing really good work, brother, man. So keep up the good work. The game that which I play is I'm very active in my community. I believe in social impact work. I believe in the restoration of family, but most importantly, I believe in being able to be on the self-sustainable and the self-sufficiency front. And what a lot of that means is that we've become accustomed to everything being pretty much provided to you. Once upon a time, if you wanted to have a house, you had to use these and build the house yourself, whether it was a lean to or whether it was an A frame structure. There was once upon a time that if you wanted to have a meal, you actually had to go out and capture the meal, or you had to know how to grow it, to cultivate it, to properly prepare it, and then feed it to your family. And so, in a lot of ways, our sense of self sufficiency has kind of been robbed from us. It's like, well, instead of learning how to provide for myself, I can just pay somebody else to do it, and I can save time and energy, and I can also save the risk of making the mistake, which is a lot of what you talked about with Adeola. And hey, listen, you just got to show up and be intentional and not be afraid to make the mistake, or not be afraid, leave room to make the mistake. And I think that that's part of what I try, and my collective, my tribe, what we try to do is we try to restore that sense of confidence and pride in our community, to say, hey, listen, not only can you do this, you should do this, and here's how. So I'm involved. I'm the executive director for a nonprofit called the Growth Spot Foundation. And what we do is we run camps as well as different workshops to teach young men about a lot of these sustainability and self-sufficiency practices. Upcoming in January, we're going to have a workshop to teach people. It's called Get It Out of the Mud, right? So everybody wants to grow something, but some people say, hey, I don't have 40 acres or 50 acres or 100 acres. As a collective, we own 37 acres of land. So not everybody has the ability to own 37 acres, but how can I grow something where I live? So we teach about seeds, we teach about soil, we teach about how to create raised beds, or how to grow in something as simple as a bucket. If you got a patio, if you got a backyard, if all you got is a windowsill, we go through the motions to teach people how to be amateur gardeners, but spearhead being head of their own household and vicegerent of their own destiny. There's a lot of other things that I'm actually involved in as well, but that's probably where we'll start today, because I don't want to hog the mic and take up too much time. But that's how I choose to show up in this world, as an outlier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, spoken like a true outlier. Like, just so you know, everything I just said there, that's about 1% of what I got going on. It's an important 1%, but like, Delonne, I appreciate you. I'm excited to have the conversation on multiple fronts. One on the like the self-sufficiency front, and then also on the other side of things, where people are like like they're being too self-sufficient. You're like, no, this part right here, like that's not your highest power. Like that's not your highest good. Like we should be able to like help you get some leverage in some certain ways. So I'd be really curious about how we navigate both of those things, because I can imagine some outliers right now who are like, I can't do it because I'm not self-sufficient, and other outliers who are like, I have to do it. It's only me. I'm the only one that can do it. And it's like, you have something much bigger than you. You don't get 37 acres collectively unless you're playing a bigger game, and that takes something. And so, do you mind if, like, I'm excited to have that conversation and walk that path with you. Oof.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep it going. Viktoriya, let's get to know you here. You mind telling us more about you and the game you're playing?
I just like to start off, saying thank you. And man, that before message right there goes into a piece of the game that I'm playing. Like 37 acres, that's amazing. And then just what's going on for the community. It's just funny how you come to programs like this and you could kind of find resignation. Like my grandmother does crocheting, and I think that's beautiful. Especially being active duty service member. That's one of the things that she sends me all the time. So shout out to both of y'all. Like nothing's too small, anything that nobody's doing, and nothing's too big where somebody else can't do it. But I'll say alone in 2020, I started the podcast, Overthinking Understanding. Kind of going to like just like what he was saying. A lot of times people try to feed us information or try to make us feel as we don't already have the tools to win. And in my mind, I feel like that's overthinking understanding. The world has, as a collective, or I say society, has kind of like taught us that you need 10,000 steps before you take one step forward. So I created that podcast, Overthinking Understanding. What's dope about my podcast, I was a cabin attendant at the time. So every place that I've traveled throughout the countries, most cities, my podcast is listened to. So I thought that was dope, like being able to watch the impact of the words that you having to say. I wanted to bring people on from the community. A lot of podcasts out there, kind of like how you did, like you say, you sent us an email and we came on and support. Same thing that's going on with my podcast. I like to bring people from the community that have something to say, to try to teach my people, our people, my supporters, that you don't have to be a celebrity, or every celebrity doesn't start off in that status. In 2024 alone, me and my spouse, we started an inflatable nightclub, little business. It's been going pretty cool. It's definitely different. It's an inflatable nightclub though, so we do that. And then we also started a print on demand shop. So we've been trying to get it, and just like he's saying, we purchased some homes this year. We're looking to purchase another home so we can rent them out. So that's how I play the game. I'm trying to be a jack of all trade, but a master of none. So I try to play the game.
Victoria, like so many things are flowing through me right now when you say that. I love, by the way, how that last thing you said, where you're like, I try to be, I aspire to be. I like it's not just like it's like I actively go with this thing that most people say like that they don't want you to be. Most people say don't be a master of none, don't be a jack of all trades, and you're like, well, that's actually what I'm like aiming for right now, you know. I think outliers would be upset with me. I would get a lot of messages if they're like, tell me about an inflatable nightclub. Like, let's just real quick here, just so we can all like help uplift us all and like fill in our imagination right now, please.
Look it up. Look us up. It's Up Fusion Inflatable Nightclub. It's exactly what it is. A novelty of being able to take a nightclub to anywhere. I could pull up to your house. We have different events that come with it. Our karaoke is the most, I'll say most popular. The karaoke, we bring a karaoke machine. It comes with an iPad, the little backdrop, and we set up an inflatable nightclub in your backyard. Your school fits inside gymnasiums, wherever you need us at, we come up, we literally set it up. That's why it's Up Fusion Nightclub. And you got your own little VIP section right wherever you are in the comfort of your home or event, whatever. So book us. It's Up Fusion Nightclub. So and we'll bring it to you.
Thank you, Victoria. And I love like thank you for owning. Thank you for owning. Thank you for owning. Like, I want to build off this space here. We'll see where the conversation goes. Like I like to play off in different ways. Typically I like to start off with this question. So I'm going to go here. And Adeola, I'm going to start with you. All right. I like to go in the same order that we got introduced. Like and so the first question or the next question I guess I have for you is like as you keep playing your game and you keep up leveling, what's a belief that you had that needed to up level with you in order to make it like in order to help you reach the success you're reaching right now?
Ooh, that just reminded me of limiting beliefs and how when you reach new levels, new fears can be birthed as well too. And so I would say just the way that I look at fear had to evolve and it had to change. I had to not be scared of the version that I was because I'm evolving into another version of myself or another style. Like when I do different lines, I have to literally shed what I already did and open myself up to something new. And I just can't be scared. I have to embrace the new idea of new ideas, new creations, new textiles, everything like that, new inspiration. How am I going to tell this crochet story through this line? What am I going to do? What's it going to relate to? And you just can't compare either. So I would say the way that fear and comparison comes up and shows up within my journey, I have to level up how that is because it's not gonna go away. I bet Beyonce gets scared sometime or fearful sometime before she gets on stage. Like, but it's just in different ways. So you know, just trying to reinvent how that shows up for me. And
Yeah.
yeah, I can't let it consume me either. Cause yeah, no, you gotta shout so the demons can leave. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying.
I really enjoyed this shit because like part of what I'm hearing is like the way I'm hearing it is like, all right, we got the fear part of it, right? And like now, well, here's like you've changed your relationship with the fear. You're like fear's still there, like, but like now I'm like I recognize it. I'm like, okay, this is part of the game. This is where it is. This is how we play it as we continue navigating on here. Awesome. Thanks for bringing that in, Adiola. Delon, how about you? What's a belief that you had that had to up level in order for you to play at the level you do now?
Yeah, I mean, I second everything that she just said. It's a certain level of overcoming that fear and developing your confidence that has to grow each and every project. So you have to remember that every day we're evolving. Maya Angelou says that which is not growing is dead. So if you're not evolving or growing or continuing to change, then you're just staying the same. So no, that I believe that that's probably, you could have stopped there. For me, I believe that in each area of my life that I have had an opportunity to level up, um, from being involved in sales or being involved as an employee, and then being involved in sales, and then transitioning as an entrepreneur. And now I don't want to call myself a philanthropist, but just as somebody who was involved in community work and engagement, what I've had to learn is that each and every time I have to accept that where I'm going, I'm not that person yet. So there's a certain level of humility that has to come with that, and acceptance that I don't possess the current skill level or skill set to be able to get to the next level. And oftentimes I have to just remind myself, if I had it or I were there, I would already be there. So it's just being humble enough to say, all right, this is where I'm at. If I want to get to that next level, because now that I see where that next level is, let me figure out exactly who I need to become, what are the skills that I need to develop, and how do I go get that? How do I attack that to just minimize the gap? One of my mentors, he's not necessarily a mentor, but a guy who I've studied out throughout my entire life professionally, was a guy by the name of Jim Rohn. And he always says that I make up in work ethic what I lack in skills. And so the fact that I understand that there is this gap that I don't have because I may not have the education or the background or the resources or the connections, here's how I'm going to bridge that gap. And it's the acceptance, it's the humility, and then it's the work. Those are always the ways in which I've found that this is how I get from one level to the next.
So Delonne, I'm really grateful you brought this in here. Allies hear that. Like, we need to go back and rewind it, because you came in and you said, like, I set a goal and I know I'm not the person yet. And then you talk, but like when I heard it from you, there was no judgment, there was no nothing. It was just like an acknowledgement. Like, if I was, I'll be having it right now. So given that, let me go bridge together these skills that are necessary in order to become that person. Is there anything else you want to say? Like, I think that there's a real element there, that because you talked about building the skills, you talked about like making the connections, and some of those things are like, externally focused, but you also said like, I'm not that person yet, right? Which is also an internal focus. So I'm really curious about like how you navigate the two of those things, and keep yourself in actual action versus like, I don't like, going off to a cave, hyperbolic
Mm-hmm.
time chamber in it, and then saying like, okay, now I am that person. Do you get where I'm coming from, Delon?
No, absolutely. But that is part of the process, though, is that there has to be some form of reflection.
Mm.
And it doesn't have to be elongated. It doesn't have to be, I spend months or years in this reflection pattern of prayer and meditation and reflection. But even if it's just a little bit of time every day, I have to be self-critical, because I recognize that my journey is not the typical trajectory. I'm 41, and how I got here is not the same that everybody else arrives here. And a lot of that has had to be reflective in saying that, okay, if I'm going to be better, I need to look at who I am compared to where I'm trying to go. And so there is a lot of internal self-reflection. I do spend a lot of considerable time in meditation and then just replaying events. I call it being self-critical. If you had a camera on you 24/7, and then you went at the end of the day and you played back the footage, what do you see? And as best as you can be critical, then that's the John Maxwell says is that it's the quality of your questions, right, that will determine the quality of the answers that you receive. And I have to ask these questions of myself. Humility has been a very integral part of my journey as a man, and as an entrepreneur, and as someone who is involved in this community. I have to be reflective and look at who I am every single day, because otherwise complacency is easy to set in. You can think that I got it, everything's working, it's in stride, it's in step. But then what ends up happening is that you end up having to do maintenance. You got to stop, you're out of commission, and you got to do maintenance. Whereas if you're continuously doing preventative maintenance, you're looking, you're checking, you're analyzing, you're making sure that everything is flowing, you're in balance, you're in harmony. All of these things systematically are working every day, as long as you just keep an eye on it. I don't got to stop and put it out of commission. I don't got to fully tinker with it. But as long as I'm aware of it, and I'm cognizant of it, but intentional at the same time, then that's how you can make it work without ever having to really stop in the process.
Yeah, Victoria, I'm seeing some big nods from you. What's coming up for you as Delonne says this?
Oh, I love it. It's like I say, it resonates with me. I mean, everything is coming up. It's really well, like I say, what my podcast is based on, and like what is rooted in. Like you said, big in self reflection from my belief system and what I believe in. That's one of the biggest driving forces that I have is self reflection and learning to understand that people are not where you are in life, and like just like you said, the person that you want to be and where you want to go, you may not be that person right now. And a lot of times, as people, we get taught because you are not that person, that you are not worthy to be that person that you're trying to become. So, like with him speaking, that is like exactly like I really hope that people hear that and, like you said earlier, like rewind that and and truly understand the message that what he's trying to say. Like I do not have to be the person that I want to be. That's the whole point in taking the journey. But if you let somebody make you feel like, well, you're this type of person, and the type of person you are is not the type of person, and the person you want to be is just not the same person, and they didn't have the background that you have right now. So how are you going to be that person? And then, like I said, it just resonates with me. Like Paul and Saul, like how you go from being someone who tried to teach people that a certain person, talking about Jesus or whatever, does not exist or wasn't exist to being one of the biggest prophets of his word. And just like I said, it resonates with me, and I love to hear it. I love to hear it, and it's kind of like confirmation because you could feel that way, and you could be in a group of 10 people, you could be the only one that feel that way, but you take it out, you make that group 20 people, and it might be another, it's 2 out of 20 that feel that way, and it just grows on like that. So I'm resonating with it, and I'm just giving acknowledgement, like, yeah, say what you say, Black King, like that. It's good. It's good.
So, like, Victoria, I'm going to stay with you for a little bit longer here, right?
Yes,
One of the things
sir.
I appreciate about you is that, like you're very like you you get your brand out there, right? And this, I see the same thing with you, Delon, as well. And I saw something behind you, Adeola. But like, if you're watching the video right now, you'll see like you have this great picture right there. When it came to the inflatable nightclub, you're like, you have no problem like just like allowing it to be seen and for it to take center stage. And so I'm curious for you, as this has gone on here. I'm trying to make sure I get the core essence of my question because I'm not trying to ask like the how did you get comfortable doing it? It's not that. That's not the question I have. Um, I think for me the I'm thinking about any outlier out there that's asking themselves like there's a lot of people who like are thinking about being visible, right? And there's like kind of two levels of the visibility, right? There's the deep visibility, which is usually where I go to, right? And so we might go back into that. But there's also like am I actually getting out there? Do people even know this exists, right? And I think a lot of times we start like making our decisions not recognizing that we haven't done enough work to even let people know that we're out there. So I'm wondering if you can speak to that component of like, all right, really put in a sufficient amount to make sure that people understand that this even can be available for them.
Yes. If I understand your question correctly, it's something that was learned. Like I said, it goes back to what he was saying earlier. I knew the person that I wanted to be, and you learn that people, they make the jokes like people is gonna judge you regardless. And like you saying, being an outlier, like being someone that wasn't looked at to succeed, or you learn to kind of like people didn't never think you were going to be anything. So they were judging you. They seen you. You kind of got yourself out there with different things that you were doing, but it maybe wasn't in a positive way. So being able to take that and understanding that, okay, I want to use the same way that I could capture a person's attention, or somebody could use me to lift them up, or use me as a tool in their success. I could be a tool in millions of people of success, or at least my own success. And I'll just say once again, it's just self-reflecting and understand and humility, like you said, you're human, and it's nothing that I can do in this world that somebody else haven't did. So moving forward with that, it's okay to make the mistakes. Like you said, it's learning, it's going back to the drawing board. It's not letting society tell me that I have to be perfect. It's not letting someone tell me you have to look this way, talk this way, do this in order to reach people. It's just learning. It's I think the best way I can answer it is just taking off the society goggles of you have to be this cookie cutter, this person, this way, this step if you want to do this, and just taking off the goggles and looking at the world and being like, this person started from A and went all the way to Z. This person started at Y. Okay, this person started at C, D, whatever on and hey, I could do the same thing. I could learn from either of these people, and it just and then after a while, it's just natural. Like I hear that all the time. Like, how can you be so comfortable, confident? How can you make small things sound so big? That's how I feel about it. That's what it is. If it's coming from me, if it's coming from what I believe in and the power that I have behind it, I know it has the ability to be powerful. And how can I get it to resonate with you if I don't believe it? Like I'm trying to sell you something I don't even use. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, you know what? Y'all don't have to answer my questions, just so you know. So like I'll ask something, but I really just want to see what y'all are thinking, and feel free from here on out, like as we go on, like if someone's saying something and it resonates, unmute, like and just like let's just jam with each other here. All right, Delon, I'm coming to you here because you brought in that self-sufficiency. I know you have your own space, so I'm not gonna like have you like have to do all the self-sufficiency stuff here, but I am kind of curious on behalf of outliers out there. I think this also speaks to like who you become and building out not those skill sets. Um, where do I want to take this? I want to bring it to the standpoint of like, all right, let's start off with people who are building out new skills, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of times with us as outliers, we're on our own, right? We like at least when we're coming into something new. So help us like see here when you think about like self-sufficiency for yourself here, like how do you keep like leveraging that as you go out and do brand new things, these things that
Mhm.
feel brand new for you? Let me ask
Yeah,
you,
for
did
sure.
you have 37 acres before you had it? Like, was this like something you just had, or is it something like you went out and you
Nah,
created? Like, let me just check in with that.
that's a very good story. I'll share briefly, and then I'll answer your question. So, I started maybe 3 years ago now, a little more than 3 years ago, actually, on a call. One of my brothers, he has a father's support group call every Tuesday night called Our Black Fathers Committee, and it's just a place, safe space where brothers can come and we can talk about our children. We can talk about our joys, our successes, our struggles, our pains, and everything in between, and we would spend a lot of time dialoguing about community. Long story short, a call of action was put out to the brothers to say, how can we do something to positively impact not only our families, but our community? And that's how the growth spot was born. We put together a couple of bucks. We purchased the land in northeastern Arizona, and then a bunch of different ideas and creations were born. But a brotherhood was also formed out of that as well. And so then now for myself, when I think about self-sufficiency, it's for me, it's always started with knowledge of self. That's how I've been able to level up to any degree. Was I've always been an aggressive student of knowledge, especially as it pertains to me. I want to know everything that there is to know about me. I want to know, why do I think this way? Why do I have certain habits? Why do I perform certain ways? Why do I have anxiety in other instances? And so the first level of self sufficiency for me is, if I better understand myself, then I know how to get the most out of me. So then it minimizes not only the risk that I take in every undertaking, but what it also does is that it gives me the confidence to know that I can do more. If I was able to do this, then I can do more. And I just have to learn how to draw out that experience or that wisdom or the strength or whatever you want to call it. So for me, knowledge of self sufficiency always starts with knowledge of self, and it's of a spiritual sense, it's of a mental sense, definitely an emotional sense, especially as a man, a young black man in America. We don't know how to manage our emotions. I'll just say it. And so understanding that component, but then also the physical sense. And I list that last because I spent the first portion of my life thinking that if I could maximize myself physically, I could get the most out of this life. And somebody told me, man, you got to work smarter, not harder. And when I figured out what that really meant, it transformed my life. Now I understand that self-sufficiency is just the adding of more skills, right? So earlier I talked about learning how to build structures, learning how to farm, whether it be crop farming, livestock farming, learning how to manage your finances, learning about ownership. All of these different things would help you to bring your power back into yourself, which then will elevate your confidence. Anything relating to that, to me, I would consider to be honing in on your own self-sufficiency.
All right, so we're gonna explore this a bit here. Viktoriya, Adeola, any part of what Delonne just said that like resonates for you, or that you wanna build on, or bring in your own experience around it?
Yes, I liked how he said self-sufficiency and just like exploring that, because you don't know what you're capable of until you actually do it. You don't know what could happen until you actually invest in it. Like it's a psalm that says no land ventured is no land gained. So
Mhm.
like, you got to go along that path to see what it is that belongs to you, whatever belongs to you won't miss you. And so, yeah, like he said also, like he thought, I just love how all the analogies are building your strength physically, but not like your mind first. I hope I said that right, but I like how he said that, because yes, your mind will take you far. Like your mind can overpower even how much strength that acquire and stuff like that. So I really like that. It's just exploration and getting into it.
Thanks, Adeola. Viktoriya, anything come for you?
Yeah, one thing that he said that really hit me, and I've been on both sides of this. I can't speak for being an African American male. I grew up with male siblings. My father's best friend, but I can't be put into that space. But what I have learned, something he said, like, I'll go ahead and say we don't know how to regulate our emotions. I think that is something that was kind of robbed from our community in general. We didn't
Mhm.
really learn the way of like conflict resolution in the way that we were taught. It was like a lot of anger, and like Nipsey Hussle said it best. I think as far as what I've know, he was like, you judging someone in the struggle, or judging someone that's trying to be in survival mode. And we said like judging someone in survival mode. I can't fault you for anything that you do inside of survival mode, because you're not acting to a sense your true self. So I do think a lot of African American men have struggled with being able to regulate their emotions, but it's also something that they've been robbed of, if it's from having to be raised by a mother, and not nothing to do with sexuality or gay, straight, or anything like that. But you pick up on tendencies. It's the way that a woman carries herself, or eye rolls, and different ways that we act that men don't act. But being around a woman or being raised around a woman, you pick up on some of those tendencies, or speaking and not
Mhm.
thinking before you speak. So I do, and I'm big on trying to give our community grace. So that may just be my confirmation bias kicking in, but I do think we would be better if we had a chance to be better, and that's why I applaud um, our community as a whole that is able to articulate themselves and learn conflict resolution, because it's something that we wasn't taught. We wasn't some were, and shout out to them, but I would say from my side of the street, it's something that we wasn't taught. And another thing that stood out is just community. Like Martin Luther King said, I think that me trying to blend my people in with another group of people may be one of the worst decisions that I've made, and just learning that we do not have to, if you want to play somebody else's game, then you have to play by their rules. But we do not have to play nobody else's game, understanding that we can make something better. We can grow a community that is better or equal to what we call ourselves trying to get in. A lot of time, like I say, we just get stuck overthinking understandings. Like, I want something for myself, I
Mhm.
want something for my kids, I want something for my community. You should let me in to your organization. It's like, no, keep your organization. I'm gonna come play my own. Like they say, if you don't want me at your table, I'll build my own. And even
Mhm.
what he's speaking of, the land and the things that come from the ideal of a land. And a lot of times, like I say, I'm speaking on from my opinion and my perspective. The African American community, it teaches us you have to do it on your own, and you have to own it, and nobody's going to come and help you. But that literally goes against everything that he's saying. A community started that, a community purchased that land, and you giving back and teaching to a community to hopefully go grow more of a community. So yeah, a lot of
Hmm.
what he says resonate.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to piggyback off of something that you said that is important and the decision that I've made. I've always been a hustler, so to speak. I've always put my finances above my community, and a lot of times to my own detriment. But one of the things that I've come to realize is that there's this sense of anxiety that we feel that is oftentimes you can't explain it. And I've realized now I've been able to travel all over the world, and I have a lot of friends that have traveled all over the world. And when you travel outside of America, what you realize is that we, just like people in a lot of other countries, we have been conditioned to believe what we believe. We bought into this book of goods and we own it. And I had to come to this realization that I actually don't have to own this. I don't have to subscribe to it. I don't have to believe it. I don't have to accept it. I can rebel against it. I can go the completely opposite way. I can embody the antithesis of everything that was taught to me. And it's okay because there are people all around the world who get by just fine doing it completely different than I do it, seeing it or believing it in a way that doesn't make any sense to me. And sometimes I used to get into arguments when I first started traveling abroad. I would come home and I would get into arguments with people about their mindset and how they see things and why they do things the way that they do it. And then I just had to realize it was like, thank God that I'm a little bit more open minded because you can get caught up in this wave and thinking that I am a rock and I am not capable of change. I am just this inert piece of material. When in fact, that's why what makes us so great is that we have the ability to say, today, I'm going to be this. But you know what? Tomorrow, I want to be different. And you have the ability to do that and to transform your life. What happens to most people is, like her banner says, overthinking. We'll overthink it and we'll overanalyze it and we'll get analysis by paralysis, or we'll just say, you know what, it's just easier to believe what somebody else is telling me as opposed to examining your own beliefs.
I really
Is
like that.
exactly to.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say exactly to what he said, and it's quick. Just like being able to travel the world. When I was a cabin attendant, flight stewardess, whatever you want to call us, I did it for 5.5 years. And just like you said, some people do not have that opportunity to go outside of the world or outside of here and understand that. Oh, okay. We don't. Pedestrian doesn't have the right of way, or you go to like London and you see like it's in the middle of November and it's like where the Thanksgiving stuff at, and you like so conditioned like they don't do Thanksgiving out here, like it means nothing. All the feelings and the sadness and the hard times of I want to be with my family, that is something that was created that completely, the Thanksgiving is just another day to them over there. It's already Christmas decorations and stuff going up. So I just wanted to speak to that yeah, when I started traveling, it definitely opened up to my mind to a world like, man, it's this is beautiful. This is different. It does not have to be what I was taught. That was it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I completely agree. I agree with you. I went out the country for the first time this year to the Dominican Republic, and my dad's from Nigeria, and just like the way that everybody out there, just their sense of community, entertainment, just everything, just from the local parts was just it's very different than how it is out here when you go to different neighborhoods. Maybe in the South it's somewhat like that. But I do know like in Botswana, at least, like just the sense of community out there um, is different. It's really, really different. Even people who come from abroad, like there's some Kenyan entrepreneurs in New York, and she's a millionaire now. She came out here 2007, and now she's a millionaire, has 5 kids. But the way she did it, she built a community within her business with people, and she took from what she learned in her village and implemented it here, and she was able to thrive. Like just, having a heart and everything like that. So I just feel like when you do go out the country as an American, it does expand your mind to just be more easier with yourself and just how you go about this life. Um and about the holidays and stuff. Yeah, the conditioning. Yeah. So y'all got me opening my third eye, opening my mind. So,
Yeah. Tis the
That's good.
reason we come together, right?
Mhm.
Delon, anything else you want to say before we start wrapping up for today?
Oh man, I could do this all day. I'm just humbled and honored that you invited me here today, brother, to speak and to share and to share the platform with a couple of amazing sisters, man. Thank you, brother.
Definitely, definitely. Like, y'all, we're talking about things that are simple. Like, and Delon, I might have to reach out to you later on because I have this thing about like I underneath that it's a movement of belonging. That's what Outliers Edge is. And I'm like,
Hmm.
how do I help like people get this? And travel is a big part. I'm like, I wanted to
Hmm.
take people and say travel to another country. I'm like, travel to another state, you know, on the podcast I had someone who lived in London. He's like, I've been to all 50 states, you know, and I'm like, wow, that's something like you've seen more of my country than I've seen of my country, you know?
Hmm.
And I think that there's some element of like being able to change some of our like bring us together by experiencing more, just opening up the levels of experience. I lived in Singapore for 4 years. So when y'all were talking, I was like, oh yeah. It was the first time I'll speak this like as a black man, it was the first time I walked into a place and someone didn't cross the street like a block or two
Hmm.
early. Like I like part of the reason you can see me do what I'm doing right now is because like I didn't know how much of my effort was going into making other people feel safe. It's like
Yes.
there's more to come with that there, but there's so much in there. Outliers, if you're listening to this, please, one thing, if you haven't taken some time to get out of your environment, go, run, change it up, you know? Secondly, if you have done it, bring it back. Help us like see with it. And no, this is why I say nowadays. I thought it's about people being different. It's not that you're different. It's just you had a different experience. At some point, your thing went different. You veered off the path that everyone else around you are on. And I wanted to say thank you all for veering off the path. Thank you for bringing that into this conversation. We're gonna wrap up here. First, I'm going to talk to Outliers. Outliers, this conversation has been really incredible. And I ask you to join us in our one person, one conversation at a time initiative. You can go off and share this episode on all of your platforms. We'd be happy to have that happen. But underneath that, this is a movement of belonging. And what I would love for you to do is let one person in your world know that they belong by sharing this episode with them. Right. Let them know that you're thinking of them. Tell them why you're sharing it with it. As much as there's all like the numbers and everything that come out, I think that we can really like just like touch people's hearts by just like sharing this one conversation, one person, one conversation at a time. All right. So please go and join us with that here, Outliers. Um, Delonne, Adeola, Viktoriya, we're going to wrap up in this way. I want to make sure Outliers have a way to continue the conversation with you going forward. So how they can go deeper into your world. And then we also wrap up with by sharing an insight that you got from this conversation, if you got one at all. All right. The outliers are taken care of, so don't worry about them. This is about like you right here. And just be like, what are you walking away with as a result of this conversation? Okay. So we'll do that and we'll share how we can go deeper with each other. Why don't we go? We'll flip the order around. We'll go Viktoriya, Delonne, and then Adeola. So, Viktoriya, why don't you share how people can go deeper with you and an insight you got?
Follow me, Overthinking, Understanding on everything. My podcast page, YouTube page, Facebook, Overthinking, Understanding Podcast, abbreviated. So it's Otis, Otus underscore podcast. And one of the biggest things I took away, like I say, maybe it's confirmation bias. Uh, start the garden. Start the garden. I have was just speaking, recently speaking with my spouse and saying like a lot of stuff we complain about produce, fresh fruit stuff that's expensive, but it also goes bad fast. It's convenience, and it's like we could grow that. Like, why are we steady buying it? We could grow it. So I'm definitely gonna take that, and I'm gonna start the garden.
Thank you for that, there, Viktoriya. Thank you for being here. Delonne, why don't we go on with you?
Yeah, that's a long ask. I got a lot of platforms, man. But my Instagram is DESCO25, DESCO25. You can also follow my organization, the Growth Spot Squad, on Instagram, on Facebook. Just find the Growth Spot, and you can track us down on both platforms. We have a podcast called Plotting Progress. It's on all the platforms, also on YouTube. You can check us out, thegrowthspot.org. And I think that's all I'm gonna plug for today, man.
That feels
But
good. That feels good.
I would really quick. I would just say also my takeaway from the show today is that you can't be afraid for the ask. I appreciate you hosting and the way in which you host it and what you are able to mix in your desire to want to help other people receive a message, change their life, and elevate their circumstances, while at the same time not being afraid to say, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm being compensated. This is how I take care of myself. Let's have a mutual exchange. Let me help you help you. And so I appreciate that. And thank you again for allowing me to share the stage with everybody.
And Delonne, just so you know, I'm receiving that heart. Thank you. I appreciate you. And Adeola, bring us home for today.
Yes, you can follow me at Shine Through, Shine, and then Through, THREU. Thank you so much for having me as well, too. I really appreciated everybody's, I would say, intuitive perspective, and just like everybody has some sort of sense of their own spirit, their relationship with God, whomever, just something that's bigger than you. And I really appreciate everybody's intuitive perspectives, especially when it comes to just exploring your curiosities and starting your garden and overthinking understanding. I like that title. I really do. Because how are you overthinking your understanding? But yeah, I'm gonna tune in, okay? And also just learning about the seeds and everything. So I really like the businesses that you brought here together with us. It was really nice. So this just expanded my perspective, and every entrepreneur has some sort of like self-awareness, self of sense, and just the willingness to want to just grow and just expand beyond your horizons, beyond what you could ever think. And I feel that resonates with everybody. I can just feel that from everybody here, just from our conversation. So yeah, you can follow me at Shine Through, Shine, THREU, on all platforms, and listen to my podcast, All Things Podcasts, available on Apple Podcasts.
I love it, Adeola. Thank you all so much here. Y'all are amazing. Thanks for playing the games that you play and for bringing it into our space here. Outliers, remember this: between now and the next time we talk, just go out there and be you on purpose. Journey on.